So we have finally seen the first match of the Super Fours of the Asia Cup, and to say that it was a one-sided thrashing would be quite the understatement. Pakistan have registered a win by 7 wickets, and it's a pretty good win considering the fact that this thing also has a league table, which means their net run rate has gotten a significant boost. 50s from Mohammad Rizwan and Imamul Haq helped them overhaul a target that, truth be told, was not really the most challenging one, was it, Harshit?
It wasn't. You expected a big win from Pakistan. In fact, after all the good work that was done by the bowlers, what Pakistan would also have looked at, as far as you talk about complete games, the perfect game. This was the near perfect game for Pakistan. I think in an ODI to chase down and to get to about 200 runs, inside 40 overs is a very decent job, truth be told. Having said that, there wasn't any pressure, let's say, in this chase as well. This was, like you say, right up the alley, for the likes of an Imam, for the likes of Babar, for the likes of Rizwan, players who who like to take their time to settle down, and they knew there's not going to be any scoreboard pressure today, and which is why you saw 50 from him. Babar was slightly unfortunate, you could say, because the ball
it was a ball that stayed kind of low, took his bottom edge, and ended up hitting the stump. Bit unfortunate in this.
But otherwise, there wasn't any trouble, let's say, for any of the Pakistan batters. The bowling from Bangladesh wasn't that penetrative, wasn't that threatening in any way. And again, as I said, there wasn't any scoreboard pressure, which is why the Pakistan batters batted with ease.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't need to take any sort of risks. They knew they can get a win even in 40 odd overs. It'll be a significant boost to their net run rate. They did that. 39.3 overs is what it took them to get the victory. And again, for someone like Rizwan, welcome runs. He's not been in the greatest of form recently.
Yeah, 63 odd, if I'm not wrong. 63
odd he got. 76 was what Imamul Haq had scored. So 2 half centuries from both of them. And it was again a match which you didn't really put any pressure on them whatsoever. It for their batters, someone like Imam, what is the one criticism we have? Strike rate. You didn't need to worry about that today. Rizwan, also a player who likes to take his time, can accelerate later on. Right up his alley. In fact, they finished off the last 20 odd runs, polished off rather quickly.
Exactly. In fact, off camera, Shane and I were talking about how long the match could even stretch. In fact, ended up getting it ended up getting over much earlier than we thought it would have. And just again, another tick box, I would say, for Pakistan. I would say many boxes got ticked in that game against India also, and today also, with the batting also, I would say a couple of boxes ticked over there. And what a way to win the match as well, with a reverse sweep. If I'm not wrong, it was Agha Salman who came up with that reverse sweep, and just speaks volumes about the kind of confidence that this Pakistan side has at the moment, and this win only gives them much more confidence. They did a lot of things right against India, but still India done well. Let's not forget to get to 266. So Pakistan slipped up over there. And why I say this again is because today Pakistan did learn from their previous mistake. What did Babar Azam do? He let the match drift away. They could have really wrapped up India at a below par total of, let's say, about a 200, even a 180 perhaps.
If they actually were penetrative enough.
If they were penetrative enough, and if Babar Azam hadn't stuck with his spinners for too long. Again, 2 changes being made on the day by Pakistan. Babar Azam opting to go with the pacer instead of Nawaz. So Nawaz had to be dropped. The second thing when you saw with the ball was the fact that not for a long duration was were the spinners bowling. What you instead saw was that there was somebody bowling from the other end with considerable pace. So there was pace at one end and spin at the other. So that was a change in tactic as well, which worked. The other day, the Indians were allowed to settle down because there were spinners bowling from both the ends.
Yeah, you had Shadab bowling from one side and you had Nawaz. And truth be told, Shadab, good as an operator as he is in T20 cricket, in ODIs tends to be more of a container.
Yeah.
And the same can be said about Nawaz. He's also a similar kind of bowler. So with both of them bowling, I think it let the batters, particularly Ishan Kishan and Hardik Pandya, really settle in. Today you saw none of that because really at one point when they had one spinner, you had either a Haris Rauf bowling at the other end, you had a Naseem, you had a Shah. Naseem of course came on later on, but you had a Shaheen. All of these guys were kind of backing them up. You even had a what was his name? It was Fahim Ashraf.
Fahim Ashraf
was
got
also
7 overs, very
overs,
economical.
He was really plugging away also.
Very economical.
So they did well. You can give full credit to the captaincy, and actually for Bangladesh, if they had to have any inkling of winning this match, they needed
quick
early
wickets
and lots of them. They didn't. They got 1 wicket early on.
Fakhar Zaman.
After that, though, I think they burned through 2 of their reviews as well. I remember, and both of them were pretty poor calls in hindsight because the ball was
pitching outside leg. Yeah.
So
happened on 2 occasions. I think Imam obviously was the batter. If I'm not wrong,
the second one because that was Tuscan. Tuscan trapped him. It looked actually pretty plumb. But then when you saw the pitching,
ball tracking showed that it was just pitching outside the leg stump.
Right.
But what this also, by the way, does is, as far as the Asia Cup is concerned, the conclusion of this match also marks the conclusion of the tournament in Pakistan.
No, the Pakistan leg is done.
The Pakistan leg is done away with. There aren't going to be any more matches in Pakistan. Now your destination for the Asia Cup will only and only be Colombo. Remember, 6 matches including the final. Let's hope there's no venue changes over there.
Or rain delays.
Exactly. But yeah, now the action shifts officially now. Completely, I should say, officially and completely to Sri Lanka. You're not going to be seeing, matches being played in Pakistan anymore. You're going to be seeing the Pakistan team also travel to Sri Lanka now for the second leg of this tournament, the business end, as many would call it.
And in fact, that's why there's that two-day gap in the schedule. For those of you who are wondering why that's the case, remember, there's no matches on Thursday and Friday, but that is because both Bangladesh and Pakistan are going to be traveling.
Yeah.
So Pakistan will be playing back-to-back matches in essence. Pretty much, really. Actually, 9th someone else is playing. 9th it was in fact Bangladesh. Bangladesh will be playing Sri Lanka. So that is the next match, and that was why I remember when I first saw the schedule, I was like, how is it that they're playing back-to-back matches? Then I remember, I'm like, oh, there's a 2-day gap, they're going to travel. And it had to be one of these teams who really had to be, playing back-to-back. It would have been Pakistan if they finished in a different position. You really don't know. So that's the thing. That is why there's no
But in fact, interesting, Shane, that you mentioned about positions, because I was I came across this, and just to inform you guys, it really wouldn't have mattered where Pakistan and India finished, because it was decided. India finishing A1 or A2. India did finish A2, but even let's say with points or whatever net run rate, had India finished A1, then also they would actually have been given the A2 slot, because A1 according to the schedule had to play in Lahore.
Yeah, which India were not doing.
Exactly. So India by default would have finished second only in the group. They maybe could have had more points than Pakistan if that were the case, had we, let's say, won against Pakistan. But even then, India would have been labelled A2 and they would have played their matches in Sri Lanka.
And truth be told, there's no major advantage of being A1, A2 either which way, because you're going to the Super 4 where you're going to be playing 3 matches anyway. It's not a semi-final draw. So, you're playing round robin, you're playing 3 more.
It's not like the playoffs that you see in the IPL. It doesn't matter. You don't get multiple chances or an extra chance to make amends.
Everyone gets 3 games. Simple as that, easy as that. And that's why it didn't really matter who finished where. But yeah, Pakistan were always going to be finishing A1. And therefore, you see this thing where, unfortunately for Bangladesh, it's them who will be playing back-to-back matches, and the next one happens to be against the defending champions. So they're going to need a better performance than this today for sure, because they did have a good game, you can say, a couple of good games in the group stage. But even there, there was times where I think Sri Lanka, they lost to, if I'm not wrong, in the group stage.
Yes,
they had lost to Sri Lanka. Yeah. They ended up beating only Afghanistan, and that was a pretty good showing.
Very close.
Very good showing. Yeah. In fact, that was such a good showing on their part that they actually pretty much ensured that the match between Sri Lanka and Afghanistan became a virtual knockout.
Yeah.
Because that 37.1 over thing wouldn't have mattered if Bangladesh had not gotten that big win. So they've shown there's flashes there. Unfortunately for them today, I think they were really missing a Najmal Hussain
Chanto, yeah, he's been the man in form, and perhaps they missed him on the radar, because otherwise there is a relative sort of or should I say, there is ample amount of inexperience also in this Bangladesh side that you see. Yes, there are, seasoned campaigners like Shakib, Rahim, and one could say even Mehdi Hassan. But otherwise, Tuscan, one could also add, but otherwise, not the other players seem to have a lot of experience at the moment. But the Asia Cup, when you're looking at, let's say, the grandest scheme of things, there is a bigger tournament in the World Cup coming up very shortly. This serves as a very good occasion for them to be rubbing shoulders and playing against the very best in the business, and you're playing not just to Asian giants, but you're playing to world giants in Pakistan and India as well. Time now to quickly, take some of your comments as well. Some of you have constantly been asking this questions. Let's quickly tell you. Cricket fan asking which team will win the Asia Cup 2023. Shane, your prediction?
एक ही आवाज.
Actually in the ODI format, when you see, and things change very quickly in the T20 format, which is why you see a Sri Lanka, what they did last year, which is why a West Indies, but when it comes to the ODI format of things, I think this is the one format that makes India, that does make India look a very firm favorite and a very strong contender, so to say. And that'll be my prediction, not just for the Asia Cup, but for the World Cup as well. I think when you talk about players, the Indian players, I think it was for some of the Indian players, the template of ODI cricket really suits them. So that's why I think India have the wherewithal, they have the resources when it comes to winning bilateral series and tournaments, so to say. So that'll be our prediction as far as the Asia Cup is concerned.
Mr. Pack makes a good point. He says, do you think this game is going to be a handy one for Pakistan? Because Sri Lanka games all really have that threat of being washed out. It's a good point. Because again, remember, if you do see a couple of matches washed out, it means points shared and no impact whatsoever on the net
run rate.
That is the key. For Pakistan though, their net run rate would have gotten a significant
boost.
So even if one match of theirs is knocked out or like washed out, if they can win the other, they're not guaranteed to be through because they'll be with 5 points.
But let's just keep our fingers crossed, and what we've learned from Sri Lanka today is we've got that video out for you. It's a short, so do check that out as well. You could look at clearer skies, you could look at better conditions, and hopefully uninterrupted matches going forward in Colombo.
Yeah, Satish Bey, off topic, but he does say that England versus Pakistan, the match at Kolkata scheduled for the World Cup, will be a treat to watch. I agree for one simple reason. The Kolkata pitch, I think, will really assist the pacers in terms of at least getting bounce.
Yeah.
You won't get movement or anything. Eden Garden's never been known for that. But you do get very true bounce. So again, with England, if they have like a Mark Wood, a Gus Atkinson who's been...
in fact, interestingly, it was just earlier in the day that Shane and I were talking about this particular fixture. How the two teams look very well rounded at the moment, very settled in their own ways. Their best 11s are sorted out. Regardless of the conditions, you see them stick more or less to those 11. You could argue that Pakistan did make that one change again, but again,
that was situational.
That was very situational, and perhaps that's the only one change you will see with this side as well going forward in the World Cup as well. So that's the good thing.
I think they're gonna switch back once they get to Sri Lanka, because you probably won't get these kind of pitches. Like obviously, here the pitches are a little more on the hard flat side.
True.
In Sri Lanka, you might just be tempted to go back to your second spinner. So you might see a Fahim Ashraf drop out, Nawaz slots back in. And truth be told, they'll sport a very settled look, because I remember even before this tournament, they were playing against Afghanistan, and at that time they were trying a couple of things. So they were playing Usama Mir a lot.
Yes.
But we knew that once the tournament hit, Usama Mir is out. Nawaz is back in. Yeah. So they were just trying things, but otherwise they've sported a very subtle look, and that is a very good thing. Let's see. Dex believes that England will be the team to actually destroy them. Could be. We don't really know.
Well, at the moment, England can destroy anyone, by the way.
Wait, just go slightly up. This one comment from Rajesh Dasgupta. Let me just see that one. Down slight. Up. I don't remember seeing it somewhere. Raj Dasgupta saying that Pak in home conditions are a tough team to beat. England would disagree with you, but I think they're one of the few teams who could really beat anyone in any conditions. Because again, remember, I think it was England, they beat them in the T20I series that was held before last year's World Cup.
The seven-match series. Well, that was a thriller of a series. I remember 4-3.
Really ebbed and flowed.
4-3, I remember.
Then Baseball England went to Pakistan and destroyed them in the tests. That was the
Haribrook 100.
The Haribrook 100, 700 runs.
700. Again, that was just, runs and runs. There was a nightmare for the bowlers over there. That series. You were virtually playing that series on roads.
That Crit Maniac makes a good point. He's saying that, Bangladesh's batting performance was shocking. I'm not sure if Mehdi should be opening. Technically, he doesn't seem to be up for it. That's what I was also thinking. He's someone who's played his career mostly in the middle and lower middle order. I'm not so sure he'd be that good against a moving ball. And again, someone like Naseem, one of the best in the business right now when it comes to getting that ball to swing both ways. He did play Shaheen.
He couldn't last that long.
No, exactly, because the other opener, Naeem, played out 6 balls of Shaheen. Naseem comes on, first ball, golden duck, Mehdi gone.
Yeah.
I think, you might want to stick with him at 3 or 4, because he does have the ability to bat long and make big innings, but maybe not as an opener. But again, there's a Litton there as well who could,
Like we were saying earlier as well, he got you 100 in the previous match while opening. So with Mehdi Hasan, see again, it's let's say a good problem to have in the sense Bangladesh, they know he can give you runs at the top as well, but against very good lineups he could struggle as well, especially in seaming conditions, which is why you would probably look to have a Litton only open and your experienced folks be there up top. But perhaps on flatter tracks, that is the thought one can go ahead with, because he does have that batting ability.
And he has the experience also, but Naeem was the other
inexperienced.
In fact, previously they were basically playing 2 new openers because Litton wasn't there. That's unfortunate. You do need a little bit of experience up top. Maybe that was their rationale behind playing Mehdi over there. In fact, Akash Bhardwaj makes a good point. He's saying that they tend to look a little lost in conditions that aren't spin friendly. It's a good point, because remember they beat India on
in Chattogram, when Shakib took a 5-for.
Yeah, and with that entire series, whether it be Tests, ODIs, Mehdi
Hassan was just
troubling.
Getting the ball to turn into the Indian right-handers, getting prized wickets of Virat Kohli as well, and the others. So again, and then of course, and maybe perhaps one could argue that yes, they are one of those teams that thrive much more in home conditions, and they're not able to replicate those performances. But a valid point being made over there by Akash Bhardwaj. They do seem to just excel a bit more when the conditions assist the spinners than the fast bowlers.
Yes, I think that's interesting enough coverage really. I think, do we have any more comments? No, I think we're good. So we'll for now, but we'll be back. This still, the day isn't done yet. We might just have some more things happening. Stay tuned. We thank you very much for joining us, and of course, please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell if you haven't already. We're a 2 lakh strong family. We'd love to add you guys to it if you aren't there already. Follow us across social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Download the SportsTech app as well. For now, though, from Harshit and from me, it's goodbye.